Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sree's daily global COVID-19 show. My name is Sree Sreenivasan, and it's my honor to convene this daily conversation around various aspects of COVID-19. Today is episode 180. We've been on the air for 180 straight days, and therefore it's the 6-month anniversary of the show. We need to coin a better name for the 6-month mark of the show. Thank you so much for being part of this family that watches the show. We are so grateful to everyone for helping us connect and share and be together every single day for 180 days. Sundays are our positivity nights here on this show, and we look for generally positive, purposeful people who can help us think about ways to get ready for the week despite every rotten thing going on. And I have a very special guest for the 180th show for the Positivity Night, someone who's always upbeat and always thinking about ways in which to help as many people and the planet as possible. Our guest is Diana Rohini LaVigne. She is the Chief Communications Officer of the San Mateo County Health Department. San Mateo is right outside San Francisco and is the home of companies you may have heard of, Visa, Facebook, and others. And it's right between San Francisco and Silicon Valley. You'll meet Diana in just a moment. In the meantime, please tag your friends right now so they can join us now or later to talk with Diana and with all of you. We'll meet Diana in just a moment. Hi, everybody. I'm Sree. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support for 180 days. I can't believe it, but I'm so happy that we're all together. Thank you for being here. I'm the Marshall Loeb Visiting Professor of Digital Innovation at Stony Brook School of Journalism and the co-founder of Digimentors, a social, digital, and virtual events consulting company. Our motto, don't cancel your event without talking to us. Let's help you plan your virtual events. We've done events for 50 people and for 100,000 people. I bet your event is somewhere between those two numbers, and we'd love to chat with you about how we can help you. My email address is right here, sree@sree.net. This show has been on the air, as we said, for 180 days. In the first 165, we had more than 1 million viewers, 300 guests, 175 of them women, 62 cities, 16 countries, and the chief scientist of the World Health Organization, plus doctors, nurses, authors, journalists, CEOs, founders, teachers, professors, and so many other people. We can do this because we're in partnership with Scroll Global and Scroll.in. Please check them out. We can do this because of our awesome sponsors, and you will meet our sponsors in a few minutes. And we can do this because of our awesome producers, Rose Horowitz at Rose Horowitz 31 and at Vandana_Menon. Please follow them and please thank them for 180 days of incredible work. Not a single day off for a holiday, for weekends, anything. And that's because of the incredible support we've gotten from all of you. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And I think you're ready for some positivity and you're ready to meet my friend, Diana Rohini LaVigne. Please follow her. She's on Twitter at Diana Rohini. She must be the only Diana Rohini in the world. We'll find out in just a minute. We will ask her that too. And she's the Chief Communications Officer of San Mateo County Health Department. And please welcome my friend, Diana. Hi.
Hello. Happy Sunday. Happy 180th show. This is so exciting. I feel so honored to be here.
Well, we're so honored to have you. We needed someone special for 180th. You remember that I messaged you in like week 1 of my show saying, would love to have you come and tell us what's going on in California. You said, not yet. We're too busy. And it's taken me 180 shows to build up to have the right to have you on my show. So thank you for being here. And I love that we're both wearing purple. It wasn't planned. Yeah. So yours is more of what, lavender? I'm not sure.
Mine's a little lavendery. but yeah, we matched. I
Yeah.
know. we, we
And
came.
I was telling my wife Rupa, who Diana knows very well, that she and I haven't talked in several months, even though we used to see each other a lot, considering I'm in New York and she's in California. She and her family are wonderful hosts. And whenever I get out to San Francisco, we spend time together, including a surprise that I was able to pull off one day. But the surprise was that no one was home. I think we're part of it. That was one of the surprises. But here we are. So we're going to actually, you know how friends have Zoom calls to catch up?
Yeah.
We're doing a Zoom call with thousands of other people. So that's the only catch.
I think that's a great idea. And I did in our honor, I did bake us a cake. Well, actually my daughter did. Sorry.
My God.
This is Shree's
Wow.
COVID-19 call. Now, it's a heat wave out here, so this is melted, but it's 180th show.
Oh my God.
And I already ate a piece out of it. Sorry. I figured you would want me to do so. But yeah, so we have your celebration cake. So congratulations on 180 shows. That's amazing. I just think
she made the cake. That is so awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That's amazing. Rupa just walked in. So Rupa, they made a cake for me out in California. Isn't that awesome? And they also ate a piece of the cake, so that's okay. That's encouraged here.
I figured you would want me to. I know that's not probably the healthiest thing for someone from the health department to suggest that you eat cake, but here we are.
So we have so much to talk about, so much to catch up on. The world is turned upside down since we saw each other, since we last talked in the early spring, and so much is going on. We also have people watching from around the world. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Everybody, please share. And I know Diana had a moment to share with her friends and family as well. So we want everyone to say hello. We'll do a global tour with Diana so she can say hi to all of you. But first, let me ask the question I ask everybody. How are you doing? How's that family of yours, apart from baking great cakes? And tell us about San Mateo, because not everybody knows exactly where it is.
So San Mateo, first question, family's doing great. Despite all the challenges that COVID-19 brings, we've really decided to quarantine fully. So we don't step outside the house. We really go in our backyard and that's it. And so we're in a fairly dense residential area. And so walking out around the neighborhood means you are exposed to 100 people. And so it's really our choice to quarantine. And I work for the health department and they have been very respectful of that and supported my work from home from very early on. So I think, we're relearning how to work from home, and that's had its struggles, but it's also had its successes. And this show is about positivity, and there's plenty of positive sides to this. The lack of commute is something that is clearly something we both love, my husband and I. And then we have two small children as well, and they love mom and dad home all the time. So it's, it takes a lot of work because we do have kids in elementary school, and so it's homeschooling with work from home. But if your employer understands and values the work that you bring to the table, you can find a balance between those two. But it's not easy. It's really not easy. So I know you had guests on here, which I was listening to your distance learning show just recently, and I learned a lot about distance learning and where that's going and the advances being made there. And it makes you pause and stop and think, what do I want long term? This is the interim, but what do I want when this is all over? Will our lives look like? So you also asked me about San Mateo. So San Mateo is a beautiful, beautiful area, and Sree is showing on the screen the map. It's nestled between San Francisco, which you all know, and then Silicon Valley, which you all know, and then Oakland, which is another big port of business and economy and culture, and it's just a really heavy lifter in terms of cities in this area. And so San Mateo County has a lot of diversity in it in terms of its landscape. So it has, the rolling um, cliffs out in Half Moon Bay that, drop off into the Pacific. And then you have, the inner city cities, which are, typical cities that, have most, a group of folks from pretty much every background and coming together. And it's dense housing for the most part. So there are some, COVID-19 specific challenges that San Mateo faces, but nothing unlike other folks, from other cities of major size around us. So we really feel fortunate to work really closely through the COVID-19 work with our neighbors, San Francisco and Santa Clara County, and Alameda, which is over where Oakland is, and we're really fortunate to have some of the most experienced folks in the Bay Area. Our health officer is one of the longest standing health officers in all of California. He might be the longest standing health officer in all of California. He's like one or two, so and then our public health is run by someone, Dr. Lockett, who is an amazing person when it comes to disease control and mitigation. And he's just so brilliant and has come from Las Vegas, and he also served in Sacramento as well. So we have some, when I look around the leadership, it's just like the who's who of health, and it's just, so amazing. And so we're really blessed to have the right leaders at the right place. When COVID-19 first came onto our radar, which was early January, when I started to hear about it, we didn't know what we were tackling, and we really didn't know, are we in a race or are we in a marathon? We now know we're in a marathon, and that this is going to take a long time, and that the impact is significant and grave. And so my last 6 months has been long days and hard days and difficult. And there's many times where I come home crying, or I've cried during a meeting, which is something I've never done at work, but there's sad stories out there, and we want to do the best to help. And it's, it's heartbreaking. So, but this is about positivity. So there's lots of positive stories. So we hear about these new ways that folks are celebrating their, landmark anniversaries and during COVID-19. And so we are hearing the positive stories as well. I don't want you to think it's all grim.
So thank you for just setting that up so beautifully. And just for people who are looking at the top of the picture of San Francisco, and below toward, down there is Silicon Valley, places like Palo Alto and Sand Hill Road. And in the middle is San Mateo County. And just struck by how much greenery there is. Like, you can see those forests and green everywhere and water everywhere. And you have a very particular interest in nature, and you're one of your missions, I know, is to take city folk like us out into nature. You've done that multiple times, including on the only glamping camping trip that I've been to in years. And so we'll talk about all of that, but we've got people watching around the world. Let's say hello to all of them. I'm going to start by saying hi to my mom, who says, congrats on 180 days. Amma's very proud of you, darling. God bless you. And thank you, Amma. Love you. Thank you for all your support. And she says hello to Diana and thanks her for the beautiful cake. So for those of you who missed it, Diana started us out with a beautiful cake that her daughter had made for us, and we're super thrilled about that. Julia, who's on our team at Digimentors, says, gorgeous, should be seeing some pumpkins in Half Moon Bay soon. If we're looking at that map, just tell us where Half Moon Bay is.
It's on the coast, and so you want to go past the greenery, um, which, if you haven't heard, San Mateo County has experienced some extreme fires. It's more towards Santa Cruz, but we some of that greenery has been destroyed. It's contained on our side pretty much, but there has been some wildfires that have been devastating, and but very few injuries and very few houses lost in this one. But you
But
just
still some horrifying pictures, right? We see
yeah,
these videos of 230 campers had to be evacuated
yep.
from California. Just for those of us who don't know enough about this, is this always you know you've lived there for so long? Has this been was this like this 20 years ago where you're always hearing wildfire stories in California, or is this
So
new?
I was in New York with you 20 years ago, but 15 years ago I was here, and honestly, it wasn't until the last several years that I became aware of how severe the wildfire season was. I think it wasn't coming close enough. I lived in San Mateo actually, and Foster City, which is also in San Mateo County, and I think at that time it seems to have gotten worse, and I'd have to look at the numbers in order to determine if that's true or not. But I think that there's now more severity in those wildfires, and that's where that becomes heartbreaking. I did serve 2 years ago. If my memory, yeah, 2 years ago, at Campfire, which is in Paradise, California. If you know, if you've seen any of that coverage, and so that just gave me new insight into what can I do in a public information way to help folks through prevention, the during, when it's actually happening, what can I do to help the emergency communications, crisis communications, and then post the recovery part. How do people get back into their lives and safely? And so I did several ride throughs of the devastation with the police department, sheriff's office, actually. And it literally, I cried the whole time. I mean, it was just, it was, the fire was so unforgiving, and it would burn down an entire area. But then there were these beautiful moments in between where somehow, like for no apparent reason, it skipped a house. So I saw it, like we were driving and I was looking, and, I'm teary eyed and I wear glasses, so it messes it all up. And I would look over, and I was like, wow, that building didn't get touched. Everything around it is destroyed. Um, and it was a preschool. And I was like, wow, that, like, it's so profound. Um, I went to a school that was entirely destroyed, leveled to the ground, except for, and I need to remember the name of this, but the buddy bench, I think is what it's called. Everything was destroyed on the campus, like everything. There wasn't anything that was recognizable, but the buddy bench stayed. And the buddy bench, the concept of that is, if you're lonely and you want someone to talk to you, you sit on the buddy bench, and then someone else will say, "Oh, that person's lonely. Let's go over and make friends with them." So no one ever feels alone. And I was like, "Wow, that's it even gets me teary eyed today." Um, so seeing those things really helped prepare me for wildfire as it has become more frequent in San Mateo County. We deal a little bit more with the smoke from surrounding wildfires than we do actually wildfires. But this year we had the biggest wildfire we have had in 100 years. So you know nobody's safe from this, and it is scary. I moved from East Coast. I'm not used to earthquakes. I thought I had to worry about earthquakes. I wildfires weren't even on my radar when we moved here. So um you know you're most afraid of also what you don't know, right? So
Yeah.
blizzards don't scare me. Uh hailstorms don't scare me because I grew up in Boston. uh but earthquakes and wildfires, those are things that scare me to death, and but now I know a lot more about the preparedness part of that, and we just have to be mindful and prepared, and in order to stay as safe as we can.
And big shout out to all the first responders who fight those fires. It's such a thankless job, but we need them out there and saving people's lives, homes every single day. And that's in addition to all the other first responders because of coronavirus. And we'll talk a little bit about how California has handled everything. San Francisco and the neighboring areas were among the first in the country, if not the very first, to shut down. And what are the lessons from their success and their challenges? We'll talk about that. But let's do a little global tour here as people say hello. You've done this as a viewer, so you know how this goes. So you know that Jonathan Borstein has watched 180 episodes. I need to bake him a cake for watching every single day. Your favorite memory of the East Village or New York in general?
Oh, New York. Well, honestly, I was a journalist and was dragged into the South Asian Journalists Association, which of course you're a co-founder of. And I just wasn't in the mood that day. And, it was a late night and, I had a friend drag me and, I met this amazing group of folks, you included, of course. And it was the most valuable, 2 hours I could have spent, because then from there, all these friendships flourished, and my, resolve to what I wanted to do in terms of journalism, I was able to refine that and talk to other folks in those industries to say, hey, what do I want to do and where do I want to go with this? And it really turned the tables for me, because I was contemplating a job at a big mainstream paper, and I wasn't sure about it. Wasn't sure if I was the right fit for that job, and really through talking with SAJA members, I really learned that I need to go for what I do best and not try to fit my round hole into a square peg. And it gave me the strength to have that support. So I really appreciate SAJA for all that it did there.
Also, just to everybody watching this, SAJA is celebrating its 26th anniversary this year, and they're doing some amazing events. They opened up their membership free, no charge this year, so they could do a lot of online events. So everybody, please check out SAJA.org, South Asian Journalists Association.org. Really fantastic work that they're doing. It's all a new generation, Diana, compared to when we were there. And we had a friend who came to one of our events, Nick Deogan, you remember he used to run CNBC, and he came and said, who are all these young people? And I said, this is 20, 25 years later. We've just become old. That's what's happened. And the sign of a strong organization is not how good it is when we're there, it's how good it is when we're not there. And the next generation and the generation after that takes over. And you know that from having built other institutions too.
Of course. And I think our WhatsApp group for our older SAJA members is like old timers or something. Old SAJA timers. Yeah. Like, wow, way to label us.
Exactly.
It's okay.
No hiding from that. So let's just keep going and see. Favorite memory of Philadelphia. Steve Taylor is watching.
Oh, Philadelphia has this amazing. I'm scrambling for a name. It has a restaurant that used to be a bank. Do you know it?
But Steve will.
Okay, Steve, help me out here. and this is like 15 years ago, so maybe it's not even in business. But it was just amazing to go in and see the interior of a bank. I love restaurants where the ambiance is a little bit of history. It's thrilling to me.
Yeah, that is true. Let's see. Rahajan is watching from Long Island and says, congrats on the show. And Tim Sohn, who you know, says, tuning in from Shahola, Pennsylvania. Congrats on 6 straight months of The Daily Show. Great guest tonight, Diana Rohini LaVigne. And let's see who else is here. Stefan is here. He says the only way to start the week with Diana, even better. He says, and you got two namastes and a heart, so that's pretty good. And Neil's watching from our team at Digimentors. Facebook keeps crashing on my iPhone. Watching on YouTube from Springfield. Wish I could watch with all his friends on Facebook, but Facebook is in your jurisdiction. So if you can put in a word to help out, though I don't know if we had access to Facebook, if we'd use that to fix Neil's access or something bigger or something bigger than that.
Yeah, I'll talk to them on your behalf.
So I presume, for example, like their health director of that beautiful new campus is somebody who your team somehow deals with as you're trying to keep communications going and things like that.
Right. So we have a lot of peer-to-peer relationships. So the director of health and safety has relationships with folks within the leadership team, which I'm honored to be a part of. I have more of the communications liaison and the government liaison relationships within Facebook.
Sure.
But if you want me to call Mark, I can. I can't do anything there.
Apollo's watching from Vegas, and I know you like going to Vegas. What's a family-friendly, safe story you can tell us about Vegas?
So the funny part about Vegas is I've always disliked Vegas. I mean, always. Historically, I just thought, wow, this is, lots of, a fast life, and I've experienced some of that in my lifetime, and that's just not my personality. And so I've always despised Las Vegas, but it wasn't until I went with my husband, who had never been there before. I'm like, okay, we got to check off Las Vegas. So let's go to Las Vegas. And I went, begrudgingly, and he loved it. And we brought his parents, very traditional, from India, from Bhopal, and Madhya Pradesh. And so they loved it. Like, they loved the lights. My mother-in-law went on the New York roller coaster that goes, loop de loop and through buildings in a sari. And so it was just looking at their thrilling response to everything that was happening around us made me take a second look at Las Vegas. And it's grown on me, and it's such an easy trip now because I live in California. So now, it can be a weekend trip. There are direct flights, and they're low cost. And if you go there repeatedly, you get lots of discounts. So we could go there. It's affordable, and the kids love, the grand, pools, and we stay a lot at the Luxor because of all the history that it has. And my daughter will comment all the time on the inaccuracies of the architecture, because they have the Sphinx, and it's a complete Sphinx and nothing missing. And she's like, that's not accurate. It's okay.
One of the things that we were going to do is to spend New Year's Eve in Las Vegas together in 2019, and it didn't happen for a variety of reasons, but we know you got to go, and we thought that was great that you were even offered to join us, which was very special. Let's keep going. Tim says, tell us about the artwork behind you, Diana.
So this artwork is done by a friend of mine, Andrew, and his last name's Wayne, and it was done perhaps 40 years ago. No, I guess 35 years ago. And it's actually me. And so this is me. And this is what he imagined me as a blonde. And so I've decided to hang it the way that he liked. But most people think it's upside down, because she's upside down, but and so you can hang it any way. That's according to him. And it was
There's no wrong way. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty special to have a painting. First of all, 40 years, it looks like it's in great condition. It's a beautiful tribute to you. What a great friend to make a painting like that.
He was great. I had done a sitting with him with my clothes on. Everyone always asks that, so I want to be very straight up. um, for a client of his, and so this was he paid me in a painting, and so I was like, yeah, that's great. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, you have that. That's great. Vandana saw the cake, and so I want to say to Vandana and Rose Horowitz that cake is for you too, my amazing producers who helped make this possible. Thank you so much for all you did. Rahajan says great cake. Steve loves the cake, and Pradnya says hello from Silver Spring, Maryland, and Neil, who's our head of production, is pointing out that this is a StreamYard call, not a Zoom call to catch up on. So he's pointing out that you can't do this TV style production in Zoom. Ashok is watching from Kerala, where my mom also is. Tell us, you've been to Kerala, right?
It's the one place I haven't been to. Well, actually, sorry, Goa and Kerala. And so, I've had so many opportunities to go, and so many friends that are from there, and it's always just not, it's not worked out. So I think the next time that we go back, we've got to do Kerala for sure. So,
and you're a big traveling family. We know that too. And you've been to places that most people have not been to. And we'll talk about that a little later as well. Mark says hello, where I'm sure you've been to the Triangle in North Carolina.
Yes. North Carolina is beautiful. I absolutely love it. The weather's good, and the nature is amazing. And I know you've alluded to the nature. I'm a California naturalist, and so I went through a program at UC Berkeley, and I thought, when you're pregnant, you don't always think about your decisions as clearly as you do when you're not pregnant. And so when I was pregnant, I decided I have this free time. I'm going to fill it up with signing up for this really competitive course at UC Berkeley. And so I did it in a condensed time period, and I started 8 weeks after I had my second child, and and then made it through. I don't know how I made it through. Friends in the class, that's how I made it through. But it really led me to understand more about the environment, and what we can do to help support the survival of Earth. Honestly, I don't even want to say the survival of Earth. Honestly, Earth is going to survive without us. Our survival on Earth, that's not so assured. And so I just wanted to understand more about how we work in conjunction rather than against one another. And so these have been lessons that I take through, honestly, into COVID-19, as I found, delivery of food and some shortages in food. I really had to be resilient. And I said, I've not gardened before. Let me garden. And I really started gardening at the beginning in January of this year of COVID-19, and had some pretty big fails. I mean, really big fails. But I leaned on that and those folks in order to help me learn how to do it better. So I was overwatering and then underwatering, and then I didn't have the right soil, and then I was planting things at the wrong time. So that's a positive story, right? COVID-19 made me a gardener, right? And so
I'm shocked because I presumed you were always a gardener. You're such
everyone says that. Everyone's like, "How are you not a gardener?" My dad.
By the way, Rose is an amazing gardener. In part because of her name. Obviously, if you have a name like Rose, you've got to be a great gardener, and she does an amazing job with that. So, but let me just ask you, since you're in San Francisco, the Bay Area, sourdough, how much baking have you done, and how much sourdough are you baking?
So baking is so cooking is an art to me. This is my opinion. Cooking is an art. It's you throw together, you taste, you move your way through it, and you figure it out. It's like a puzzle. And baking is a science. And so baking I've struggled with. And so I do now have a bread machine. because I've had enough failures that I'm like, I probably should should invest in a bread machine. And the bread machine, literally, it's so easy. You just, put it in and it mixes it all up, and you set the timer, and in the morning you wake up to this fresh bread. It really doesn't get easier than that, and it's easy to clean. And so the bread part, I'm not an expert on. Baking is my daughter versus me. We all kind of take our own specialty. And so she's a baker. She's the scientist in the family, and she's only 10, but she bakes all the time on her own. I don't help her. I don't, you know, she's been baking on her own for years. So
One
um,
of the positive things for people to learn from you is how you treat your kids. I've watched them since they were very little, since not you were little, since they were very little, and I've seen you trust them and you empower them. And I got to say, I come from a different school of parenting where we're terrified of everything, not Rupa, me, and try, a much more like. Worried about everything they're doing. And I've seen you give them that freedom, only 10, of course, but where they can try things and learn on their own. So give us your parenting philosophy. There are lots of parents watching.
Sure. And you know what? Every child is different. And so you're doing an outstanding job, Sree. I mean, there's you and Rupa just rocking it. So my parenting style might be a little bit different, but that's what works for my children. And it's not a ping on anyone else's parenting style. Every parent is different, and I'm more of the freedom style. My dad came from a farming family, and so they lived through the Great Depression, and so they were resilient, resourceful, and self-sufficient. My mom is part Native American, and so she again is self-reliant, understands the land and the tie with nature. And so with my children, and I'm married to someone from India, and so his parenting style is through fear, and that was just what worked, and that worked for him, and that's not a bad thing. It's just it won't work for my children. And so my children, my elders started carving with a 5-inch, blade knife at 5. So she had a knife this large, and she went to carving classes, and she's an expert, whittler of wood. And we're looking now this summer, if things open up, of her doing forging, which is, the iron and the hot iron, and so we
Wait a minute. I'd be worried about just foraging, but you said foraging. I thought he meant
forging,
foraging.
not
I would be
foraging.
worried about foraging. And here
Oh,
you are about foraging, and I'm worried already. So this tells us we're in different places with the parenting freedom.
well, we do forage too. So
I know that. I
we
know
go
that. That's what I thought you were talking about.
we do foraging, and we go out, and we notice the rosemary, and we cut it and we grow it, and we notice the herbs out there, and we bring them back. But yeah, it's a little different with iron, hot iron. So most classes don't start until you're in your teens, and most not until your late teens. But we have found that she's so interested. She's hooked on this show called Forged in Fire, and it's um it's got no girls. It really does, and she is determined to be the first girl on that show. So I, I I believe her. I really do. And so how can I support her in that journey? And so my support is, me understanding a little bit more about it, because I don't know a lot about it. I don't know how to do it. And so I know my dad does, but he's no longer with us, and I can't really ask for safety tips there. So I work with folks who have done this before, or have some inside knowledge, to learn more about what goes into this, what are the risks, and can we, where can she learn from an expert who really values safety? I'm with the health department. Safety is my thing, right? And so we found a place near my sister's house in upstate Vermont. So we're gonna, as we go visit her on the weekend, she'll go and she'll learn how to forge, and that should be interesting.
It certainly will be. Daryl says, hello, party people. I'm joining you all from South Richmond Hill, New York. He's even got the zip code in there. Come visit us and we'll be treated to the best tasting food in New York City. It's the home of the Indo-Caribbean population, so Trinidad, Guyana, and places like that. Have you been to those countries?
Yeah, Trinidad for sure. I have a few friends there. Some folks actually that I mentored many years ago and stayed in contact with, and now she's off and doing her own stuff, and as well as another person who I mentored over the years, and they're just such a resilient people with such strong cultural ties, and really a lot of sense of freedom. And the women that I worked with were so confident and so secure in being who they were with no apologies. And I love that. I love being around strong women, and hence why I love your wife. So strong women rock, and it was amazing when you took, the oath to sitting on panels only when a woman was also on that panel. And I thought that was a really brave and bold move. But it really, women are not the here. We're going to go into a political discussion, but women alone won't solve the equality issues. We need, allies that are men, standing up and making the space for us to speak and to, really, allow us to be in that spotlight. And honestly, I know I'm mixed race, but pretty much I'm, a white girl, right? I have to, stand back and make sure that women of color are, not marginalized or minimized in conversations and in boardroom meetings, and in, make sure not only do they have a seat at the table, but that they're not shut down. They're not just a checkbox, right? And so just using that privilege in the right way is, an ongoing work in progress for me, and I think for many of us. And I really commend you, Sree, on your, very public commitment to make sure that you support women.
Well, thank you. And we use this platform, as you saw. We count the numbers from day one, how many women we have on the show, and it's well over half. But that doesn't mean we're satisfied. We went for a week where we thought we could do every single guest would be a woman, and we almost made it. We had a male speaker, and that was fine. But what we're saying is this is not tokenism. Some of the most important guests that we can have happen to be women, and that's great. And so we want to have them. Also, people of color, various backgrounds, and various points of view. We did I'm ashamed to say we've done only one episode on Native Americans, but we'll do more, and that's a commitment we made to have more points of view on here. And that came to us, Diana, from an episode with the amazing Sapphire, who wrote the book wrote the book Push, which became the Oscar-winning movie Precious. And she said, all of you people who care about health at the beginning of the pandemic are saying wash your hands. There are Native populations in America that don't have running water.
Yep.
And you're saying wash your hands. So what are you talking about? And so that really brought home to me that we often don't think about all the people that we should be thinking about. And we're going to keep the streak of terrific women speakers tomorrow night. Our guest is the author Janine Guerrero for an episode we're calling Stephen Miller Hate Monger. And this is a book, Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, and the White Nationalist Agenda. So 9 p.m. Monday night, everybody should join us for this really important show. It'll be the opposite of today. Today is positivity and sunshine and rainbows as much as possible in the middle of a pandemic. But tomorrow is going to be just a hate monger is the title, so you know it's going to be bad. Diana, it's already 9:45. I can't believe it. I was supposed to do the sponsor deal at 9:15, so I'm going to give you a break and take a couple of minutes to thank our sponsors and give you a chance to catch your breath and also to share a little bit. And when we come back, we're going to take questions about what the health department guidelines are on various things. So if you have a question for Diana or just a comment, please comment right now. Please tag a friend. She's going to be with us for a little while longer. And we're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and on LinkedIn. And my guest is Diana Rohini LaVigne. Please stay tuned. She'll be right back to chat with all of you. So let's thank our sponsors, as we said. So first, we want to thank our friends at Nunbelievable, divinely delicious cookies on a mission. And each handcrafted cookie provides a meal to those in need. One cookie equals one meal. And please use the code Sree, S-R-E-E, for 20% off. Nunbelievable.com, divinely delicious cookies on a mission. We're also grateful to The Inventor in You, a step-by-step guide to your first invention by Charles Cunnincarroll, developer of more than 80 patents at Inventor Charles, and Guide to Invention.com is his book. He's fabulous. Please connect with him and check out his book, The Inventor in You. One of the things he says is you don't have to invent something new. You could reinvent something or improve an existing invention. Promotional consideration also provided by Hotstar. The newest Indian films with subtitles are skipping theaters and coming straight to your home exclusively on Hotstar. Stream the latest releases, Dil Bichara, Loot Case, Khuda Hafiz, and Sadak 2 with subtitles with Hotstar premiere nights, hotstar.com/US. And we also want to thank our events partner, Rise or Fall Together, the One Shared World Interdependent Summit 2020, Thursday, September 17th, 9 to noon, a free conference with world-famous folks like Renee Fleming, the famous singer, David Nabarro, the WHO Director General's Chief Envoy on COVID-19, and so many more. oneshared.world/live, oneshared.world/live. And final promo is for Muckrack Academy and its Fundamentals of Social Media, a free on-demand certification course. More than 1,000 people have already finished the course, and you can see their certificates that they have posted all over the internet. We're so grateful to them. Go to mrac.co/social, mrac.co/social, and take that class. You will learn a lot. I promise. A person who doesn't need that course is Diana, and she's here with us. So let's say hi to her. And Diana, thanks so much for spending your evening with us. And you surprised me with that cake. So I have a surprise for you as well.
I have another surprise for you too. So
okay, you go first and then I do my surprise.
Okay. So of course I'm a California naturalist, and during COVID-19, I really took up gardening more seriously. And so I've been gardening, and so here's some broccoli that I've seen. So I am actually going to plant in your honor. And if you can see this, Shree's COVID-19 call 180. On this day, we are going to plant some spinach, which we're going to put in here in this really good aerated soil. And I'm going to put this in, and I'll share this and send you some spinach. So now we've got the label, and we're just going to I put these labels in instead of these labels in, because these labels in bright sunny conditions actually bleaches out and you can't tell what you've planted. So I have a bunch of plants that I don't know what they are. So you just put the metal one in here, and now you always know. So now you have You have your own spinach growing, and I will tell you once it's done.
So first of all, I'm so honored. Thank you. And two questions from somebody who knows nothing about this. How long does spinach take to grow? I want to know when to get ready for that spinach delivery. And two, how did you stamp that on the metal like that?
So your first question is, I'll probably see a sprout within 3 weeks, but harvest will probably be about 2 or 3 months. And then in terms of stamping that, you get a stamper. And so here's a
Is it like a diamond dynamo label kind of thing?
So these are stamps. And so you take a stamp and you take a hammer and you, oops, the other way.
Wait, you have to do each letter? You have to do each letter one by one? Oh my God, that's a lot of work. Yeah.
No,
I'm not the handy person. I'm not the handy person in the house. That's Rupa. So I don't have a cake. I don't have a plant for you, but I have instead a friend.
Oh, Sunil! How are you?
Hey, doing great, Diana. How are you?
Awesome! This is so great. I also have not seen Sunil in so long, although I did steal some rosemary from his yard once. But
was it recent? You should have just knocked on the door.
It was a few weeks ago. I said I might stop by, and then I said no, I got it locally, and then local went by, and so I went out. I happened to be out in that area, and then I stopped by. It was really late at night. Otherwise, I probably would have told you. And then I clipped a few things, and they're growing in my garden. So
that's wonderful. They're growing in my garden. You're welcome to come over anytime. I was about to say your success with growing plants is significantly better than mine, apart from the rosemary, of course, which is just growing like a vine in the neighborhood. So
yeah, if you want rosemary, I mean, Sunil has it all.
Yeah.
So let's start, Diana, with you introducing Sunil. People are wondering what the hell is going on right now.
So Sunil, and I don't even know how many years I've known you, 30 years, 30 something years. And I met because Sunil was my instructor in Bhangra at MIT. He led a Punjabi club there and gave lessons. And I was over at Harvard, and MIT had a much better team. And so I, asked to, can I take these teams? And Sunil was super inclusive and said, yeah, of course. And just started going, and we performed at the Hat Shell in Boston, and did performances around, and really grew to love very specifically Punjabi culture and food. And so I really, was so thankful that Sunil had, kind of made that space for me to explore that and to learn more. And it was really the beginning of my pathway towards Indian culture, which is now clearly a big part of my life. So I super thank you, Sunil, for all of that and all that you've done. And then we just, kind of continued on, and he got married, I got married, and we landed in similar places and kept in touch, and our children know each other. And, it's just, one of those things that's just amazing. And the both of you, I look at the both of you and I'm like teary-eyed. I'm like, I have great friends.
Well, you're awesome. And let me ask Sunil, there's not a roast of Diana, but what was it like having this white girl show up at the Bhangra dance troupe out there?
Interesting that you were to show up at the Bhangra, because I think she showed us up a little bit when she came and did some Bhangra. And for those who don't know Bhangra, it's a very vibrant dance. It's very colorful, athletic, in contrast to, say, Indian classical dances, which are much more precise and refined. It's a folk dance. It's intended for everyone to participate in. And so, at MIT at that time, and even now, it was intended to be a community event. During the school year, it was just for the MIT folks, but during the summertime, we opened it up to everybody in the Boston community. And Diana was one of the people who was generous enough to join us. And I still remember one of the teams she was on. It was probably one of my favorite team, or certainly one of my most favorite teams I was on. about 25 people, all of which got along so well. So it wasn't just about doing the dance; it was about the people who were part of it. And I remember telling folks at the time that it's rare that you have this sort of this bond among the team, and I think Diana was a large part of that. She had taught me a lot about teamwork and bringing everybody together as a community there. And I think that had a lasting effect on not only that team and everybody who was on it, but subsequent to that. Many times, and we never charged any money for any of this, or there was, I'm sure people have, know that they can go get dance lessons at a variety of places. We never did anything like that. And then people would always ask me, like, why don't you charge for this? I said, no, that doesn't make sense. It's not what we do here. And I think that was one of the stamps that Diana had brought in, that this is something about the community. I also remember at the time, Diana was involved with an arts program as well. You were hosting an arts show. So that was also something that kind of, helped me understand, like, wow, there's a lot of people here who really like giving back to the community. And that's something that Diana brought to the team, along with, lots of friends and lots of enthusiasm every single time. So there's this looks like the contemporary crew over MIT Bhangra. Maybe at some point, Sree, I'll give you a little video of Diana, cutting up the rug over there on the MIT Bhangra.
I want that. I want to see that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Neil, don't do it.
No, it's just a Google search away.
That's true. And Sunil works for Google, so he can make that happen. Well, I want to, on a positive note, I want to note that Sunil may not even remember this. So I was brand new to this form of dance, and I was really struggling. And there were dancers on there that are professional dancers. I mean, they're so good. And I was just really struggling. And I know as we were getting closer to the performance, I felt like I was lagging in what I could accomplish in the same time. And I was doing double time. Like I was after hours, I was like meeting one-on-one with our friend Mona, who is also one of the co-instructors, and just trying to be good enough. Right. And Sunil, I muttered under my breath at one point. I said, I don't even know if I should be on this team. And Sunil like sat me down, like stopped everything he was doing, eye to eye, and said, you can't talk like this. This is not you. Don't do this. Don't ever say that again. Like he just didn't take a second to like encourage me to just stick it out. Don't worry. And then you also told me something. You said, no matter what level you are on this team, when you go to an India wedding, will be one of the best dancers still in that group. And so I thought, wow, actually, yeah, these are all like really super good dancers. So no wonder I'm not doing as well as I would expect. And so to this day, I know I spent a lot of time in India working out of Mumbai, and I would be stuck over many months in a hotel. And on the weekends, it got a little lonely. And so I would go and crash these weddings in these big fancy hotels. And I would just put on my finest, sari, and I would dance up a storm. And no one ever questioned it, like never questioned it. And I think it's, due to those classes. So I really have you to thank for all my really happy weekends in Mumbai for many, many years. So thank you so much.
Oh, well, and thank you for participating in it. I mean, that was a very special team, and it was, you were one of the key reasons why it was special. I don't know if you look back on those days of how special that was, but I certainly look back very fondly on that time and the friendship that we had built. Not only between you and me, but many of the other people on that team. I mean, you mentioned food. I mean, I still remember that the team would not only go to dance together, but we'd actually go out and eat. There was actually a Punjabi hole-in-the-wall restaurant that was a common staple for us after practice. After doing a 2-hour, very vigorous athletic practice. Next thing you know, we're having like some buttered chicken and all these other things. Some naan at this wonderful Punjabi place over there. but that's Boston there for you. So that was part of the community that we had built. I guess one question is, when are you going to join us?
Yeah, well, here are some people asking, Diana, will you be dancing on a live stream? Daryl says everyone wants to see Diana dancing. And Rajan says there's a pitch for a movie script right there. And before that, we had someone just very happy to know that there was MIT had Bhangra. So that's pretty amazing. Sunil, what did you study and do at MIT?
I studied at a place called the MIT Media Lab.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with it, we've done a variety of projects related to media technology, but it's not just about computers. We blend in art, education with technology. My particular project was I was working on building technology to help people remember better. It was called a memory prosthesis, and this was envisioning a future where we would have recording devices with us at all times, and could that help us with day-to-day memory problems? That's what I was studying over there, and I don't know, it feels like we're at that kind of day and age now, when we have recording devices all around us, and this is I'm glad at least part of that vision had come through.
Yeah, and I know Sunil is busy with guests today, but Diana, when I asked him if he'd join us, he absolutely said he could come for a few minutes. And Sunil, I'd love to have you on a separate show so we can talk about your work and all of that. I'll just show people this wonderful dinner we had together. It was now almost exact. Look at that, September 12th, 2019, almost exactly a year ago. And I said, sometimes you have dinner with a friend and you still remember things you discussed later. Days later, I always learn when I spend time with Sunil, who I met through the great connector, Diana Rohini. We had a 2-hour meal where we didn't read anything on our phones. We had a device-free dinner. I was doing a lot of that back then. And we went and had cupcakes as well. And we had a very nice Chinese dinner exactly a year ago. That's amazing. I lost track of time, Sunil. And so hope you will come back and be on our show so we can talk about you and your work. But here's your chance to give Diana a greeting. She's done an amazing job, as her entire department, through this crisis. And we need great government communicators and leaders. And so I salute Diana and the entire San Mateo health system for focusing on science and helping people stay safe during this pandemic.
I really appreciate that, Sree. It's so amazing, the appreciation that we're getting from all sides of folks. I want to note that my skill set is great, and I don't want to diminish that, but it's really a team effort. It's just an amazing group of leadership at San Mateo County Health, and it's been such a privilege to share my skill set there and to help the community through this really difficult time of COVID-19. So really appreciate that. Shout out. They're an amazing team.
Thank you. And Sunil, you and your family, I hope you're okay. And I'll let you get back to what you're doing. If you want to say something to Diana in front of all of us, you can.
Well, Diana, dancing aside, and I hope after COVID, we all have a chance to do a wonderful dance together. I'm sure there's in Punjabi parlance called a boliyan, which we'll have a lyric or a little chorus describing the challenges this posed. But I also want to reiterate what Sree said. Thank you for all that you're doing to help have clear and honest communication with the public. It certainly helped us, the communication that you've been giving to the community, and keeping us safe. So please continue doing the wonderful job that you've been doing.
Thank you so much. Mask on, folks. Mask on.
Masks on. There you go. Doing his part.
Yes.
It's awesome. Thank you so much. And everybody follow Sunil. He's at Sunil Vamuri on Twitter. Thanks very much, Sunil. We'll see you soon and hope to have you back. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
That was fun. And thanks for letting me do that one surprise for you.
That was amazing. I was truly honored.
Let's see. We have so many comments coming in. Shok says, I want to let you know about the health service in the state of Kerala, which of course got a lot of positive kudos at the beginning of this. And Daryl says, I wonder if you should tell us 3 things that journalists to do and 3 things they shouldn't do when covering municipalities. That's an interesting question. So you've been a journalist and now you've been on the other side. So what are 3 ways that journalists should and shouldn't deal with folks like you?
So one thing I think that is always going to be a struggle is that I don't always have all the answers. I'm not a epidemiologist, and so I'm not a data cruncher, and so I don't have that expert knowledge. So I have to rely on other folks. But those folks are the very folks who are helping mitigate spread for COVID-19, and so their time is mostly spent over there and not talking to press. And so it's understanding that there is really a balance, and that the public information officer, I absolutely understand. I've been on both sides of this, so I get what the journalist is trying to do, but to understand that the turnaround times of 2 hours or 1 hour for information is really is not happening. And so having the understand around time frames that would be a good thing to do. Another thing is to be willing to accept answers via email versus in-person interviews. It is very hard for me to get a key executive at a health department to take even 10 minutes or 15 minutes out of their day to go do an interview, because they also have to, clear their mind, get the questions, think about it, and then do the interview. So it's never 10 minutes, right? It's always 30 to 50 minutes, right? And so, so understanding that it might have to be by email. And then maybe the third tip that I would say is that most public information officers were journalists. I mean, we were reporters and editors. And so we see you as our partners. Media is such a key partner to the spread of information, accurate information. I couldn't do my job without having strong relationships within the press and media. And so it's not an us versus them. It's how do we together get the information that you need. And most of the time we'll be able to do it, but 10% of the time it might not make your deadline. And we want to look for the long game, which is we're still partners and we're trying to do the same thing. Transparency, we are trying to deliver accurate information. We're fighting the same battles that journalists are fighting, which is misinformation. And so those are kind of the 3 tips, and all 3 of those have a pro and a con. So
I understand. We want to, it's already getting late for you. Has your family had dinner yet, or you're?
I have no idea.
So you don't know what's going on downstairs, right?
No.
You have no idea. Okay. So maybe you're actually, this is a safe space for you, so you're not seeing all the crisis, the havoc downstairs. Steph, so we'll do short questions and short answers so we can get a lot of comments in here. I'm always concerned about. They thought one of my devices thought I was talking to her. I'm always concerned about all my photojournalist friends, as they are in the path of these horrific wildfires, who are covering them for the world to understand what is happening. Apollo says wildfires are natural, as some trees need the fire to germinate their seeds, but it has gotten worse as people have moved into brush areas and climate change. And he's a native Southern Californian who now lives in Vegas. I think he's taking a train to New York at some point, and then we need to have him on a show to talk about what it's been like to take a train from, I think he said he's taking a train to the East Coast from Vegas. Sujana Chandrasekhar is with us. Sujana is awesome. She is one of the 2 doctors on the show She's on Call. And today we had on She's on Call a best of episode, and they do amazing work. Everybody should follow them. Sundays, 11 to noon Eastern. Please check them out. And it's on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. And it's at She's on Call, female doctors talking about COVID and so much more. So hi, Sujana, and thank you for being here. And Subbalakshmi says, such a lovely idea, the buddy bench. I had never heard that term. You explained that it's the kind of bench where people, by sitting there, are signaling that they want to talk. Is it a special design? Can anyone make their own? Do people sit on it by accident and suddenly start up conversations? Or is it you can buy? What is it exactly?
So it's a project that was led, and I don't know the full history of it, but it started in one place at one point. It was in a school in America where a student felt like they were being isolated, and they felt like other people might want to talk to them, but they just weren't sure. So instead of risking the social risks around going to a person and walking up and saying, "Will you be my friend?" Which sounds, that can be socially awkward at any age, let alone, a 10-year-old. This child thought up, let's have a bench where when I'm feeling like I'm open to having other people talk to me, or I'm feeling lonely, I can sit on the bench, and then people will know that this bench is meant to attract other people to come talk to me. And it's fabulous. And then it just broke out and everybody's doing it. And so my kids are now in a new school, which is a little more nature based. And I'm hoping to have a buddy bench there. They started with distance learning, but once we return to in person, I plan on doing a buddy bench there. I'll share the picture. I have a picture of the buddy bench, and everything around it. And everything's devastated except that buddy bench. And it says buddy bench.
That is so special. Apollo said there are many prisoners fighting those fires and are paid $1.50 an hour and often and heralded. Charles is watching from New Jersey. He's one of our sponsors and dear friend. Thank you so much for your support, not just supporting the show as a sponsor, but watching and sharing your thoughts with us every single day. Daryl says the South Asian Journalists Association is a terrific organization. And Ashok says the networking of the health department in Kerala is great, that every COVID patients are constantly asked about their well-being. And Ashok should know, Ashok has had a rough year, as he has shared in previous episodes. His wife passed away at the beginning of the year, and then he and his daughter both got COVID. But then now, after 10 days of treatment, they're out and negative. So Ashok, thank you for your support. And we see in you the resilience that we often talk about in other people. But thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of this family. Pradnya is saying we is old because we're all of a certain generation. And we saw these young whippersnappers are now running the organizations we started. And Charles says, I still have a SAJA t-shirt from one of the first meetings. Isn't that awesome? So Charlie, thank you so much. Old timers is better than SAJA aunties and uncles. That's the worst, right? When you wake up and you're an auntie. But that must happen to you on occasion, and you're horrified when it happens.
It does all the time. That's been happening for a while.
Mark says 58 and not claiming old. You early 50s can claim it if you want to, but I'm not. So he's 58. I'm turning 50 this year. And
I'm in the middle of you too. So
okay. Rahajan, but first of all, you look like you're younger than me. Rahajan says I'm 57, not old. Classic. And Jonathan calls himself seasoned. I like that. There are a few restaurants here that used to be banks, though you may mean Circa in Philadelphia. And Pradnya said I'd forgotten all about Circa. Mark says amazing show, hard to believe it's been 6 months, and it's because of folks like you all. We were able to do it. Ashok says, I myself had a very good experience when we turned positive. First Line Treatment Center in Trivandrum, the capital. And Pradnya says, we have a new favorite restaurant called Abe Fisher in Philadelphia. And from that era, I think Circa was the only one. I used to work at Striped Bass down the street. Twyla asks, how much dissonance is there between what is posited as policy versus communication? How much dissonance is there between what officials say and what individuals believe? So we've taken a turn to the very serious suddenly. So go ahead, Diana. Twyla,
this is no quick answer.
Yeah, exactly.
So honestly, the health officials in San Mateo County are extremely transparent. They follow science, and the politics come next. And so we I am honored to serve in such a place that follows science so closely. And so despite ruffling political feathers, they follow science, and that is extremely transparent. Our health officer is extremely vocal about that. I don't screen his words. I don't put words in his mouth. I don't craft things for him. I don't prep him. He he speaks from his heart, and he speaks from the science in which he has learned about and the latest knowledge. And it's still emerging. This is the first time this has happened in our lifetime at this level, and you know we're still learning. And so it's I think the public, in the beginning we knew this much, right? And we said, we gave information depending on what we knew, and that changed. The target changed on us. And so there's definitely mistrust between the general public and health officials. We don't have it as much in San Mateo County, and maybe that's perhaps a hat tip to some of the the health officer being so transparent and so boldly unafraid of the political consequences, and really just staying straight and steady with the science of it. So that's the shortest answer I could give. Sorry.
That works. We did one surprise for you already. We're talking to Diana Rohini LaVigne of the San Mateo County Health Department, but really she's here as my friend for 20 years, and she's at Diana Rohini. Please follow her on Twitter. See all these great comments coming in. But I have two more surprises for you. You can pick A or B.
Do I have to choose? Come on,
yes,
this is a positivity show.
Okay.
Don't I get like the AB?
All right, you did both, but you can pick what you see first, A or B. B. All right, here we go. Let's see what's behind door number B.
Oh, how are you in the same house? Where are the kids?
Where are the kids? That's the question. That's her question. Vikram is Diana's the better half of Vikram. He's downstairs. Where are the kids, Vikram?
The kids are glued to the devices, so I have given them enough cookies and milk, and they are glued.
Parenting 101.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe since you guys are so busy with work, taking care of the kids, maybe I should step out and the two of you should just talk amongst yourselves for just a minute and just relax.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Wink, wink. So I know folks were asking about what the artwork was behind me. Actually, my husband is sitting in an aquarium. It's a decal that we put on the back of my youngest child's wall, because their theme for the year is aquariums or fish. Is it fish?
Fish,
I don't know.
fish, yeah.
And so we put our youngest in a fish tank. So Vikram is now in the fish tank. I don't know. How does it feel? Are you breathing?
It feels good. It feels good. I can feel this is like in a Rohan's chair, so this is where he sits every morning and attends school. So, but he's excited to see a nice world. He goes and tells his friends and teachers about it. So I think that was a great idea.
And look, they put your he's on Twitter, Vikram Gupta 100, which is great. See, we only have one podcast ready Zoom room in the house, and I'm in it. So I have like the perfect lighting. And Vikram, somehow you look amazing, even though you have like this substandard lighting over there.
Yeah, it looks like I think the sun is beaming up from, and I'm underwater, right? So.
Well, breathe. You should breathe.
Yeah.
So are you on here to trick me, or?
Yeah, it was a surprise. I think that's what we wanted to do. So no, I just wanted to say I think you've been like an amazing mom, amazing partner, and I think COVID has pushed us a lot. So just thank you for being there and getting the kids through, getting the husband through, and getting yourself through, right? So great job, and thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. And I don't regret our first meeting in Miami when I was living there and you were living up in New York. And just, I remember telling you there's no chance of romance for this, just to let you know. I'm just going to show you around the town and that's it. And here we are, celebrating, I don't know, 15 years later.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how many years. Unlike most wives who remember every year, it's just a blur. It's whether it's 15 or
Okay.
20 or 5, it doesn't matter. It's all awesome. I'm not crying, you're crying. See? All right. We made you we made you cry. We made someone cry. But thank you also, as COVID-19 has really changed the makeup of our family and how we operate, and how we work and how we do distance learning. It's really pulled us and stretched us in ways we never thought. And it's really great to have a partner who is on board with all the changes. And, when you marry, you think you marry a person, but if you don't marry the changes that happen within that person, that doesn't have a good long-term, outlook. And so I appreciate that we change and are able to adapt to one another in amazing ways. And
Yeah.
really, it's been an incredible journey. And hopefully we have many, another 15, well, more than 15. I'm only 55, so.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, but I just want to tell all the audience. I mean, I can't go out of the house without wearing a mask. I mean, I'm being monitored 24/7. If I one step out, if I say there's a buzzer that goes on, why are you going outside? So
It's not 5 feet outside.
I'm just going to the car to get my book or something. Now you have to wear the mask. So
And then I make you wear this too, right?
oh yeah, so yeah,
I make him wear this, which is a shield to double protect you. So, yeah, he puts up with my health department concerns, and so, I mean, honestly, the positive message for today and for this 180th show really is wear your mask on, mask on, mask on. Like, this is how we're going to slow the spread. This is how we're going to save lives. This is really not a hoax. This is really not misinformation.
Yeah.
This is a real thing. And make the mask a fun thing. I mean, I have masks that are, that say a statement, so, and then I have a friend who's been a friend for many, many years, David Joseph, and he's in Boston, and he is a couture designer, and he's turned his whole business around, and now he makes designer masks. And just, you don't need a designer mask, but if that helps you, if you want to make it fancy so that you wear it and you wear it more, that fanciness can save your life and others and protect others and your loved ones. So it's really wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask. I even have another kind, which I know you know of, but this is so that you can see, you can see the person speak. So, hi. This is great when someone has hearing challenges, and so they can read your lips. Sometimes it fogs up and it's not helpful, but there's all kinds of masks, and make them comfortable. I know my kids resist wearing them because they fall off all the time. And this is my children's mask, my elder one. And here's a little thing. They get to pick out their little, whatever it says on it, and you just kind of hook the mask on one side and on the other, and it creates a holder that goes around your children's head and keeps it in place. So, so anyway, sorry. This is absolutely, wear your mask, wear your mask, wear your mask. There's David Joseph, and making his amazing masks. So yeah, I think just wear your mask. If you can do anything positive, that would be something that I would love for everyone to do. If no matter what. So someone is asking, Vikram, what you do for work.
Well, I'm in technology, and I build products in software products. Especially, I'm working and building some cloud infrastructure for some large companies. So I'm a product manager, which means I can take them from an idea to all the way releasing to the market. So that's what I do. I work for a company called Nutanix. So it's basically building something similar to Amazon, things like that.
Yay. I was going to do it, but I don't quite understand what he does. So it's pretty complex. And so I know you work in storage technology, and you're on the marketing side. So, but
that's right.
Beyond that, I listen to you. I just may not understand all of it.
That's okay. It's okay.
But
I don't understand when you're talking to your people, so I'm like, okay, that's okay. Hopefully, we both are making sense to other people.
I learned very early on in marriage that yes, dear, works really well.
Yeah, me too.
So if we just do a lot of yes, dears, and I think that will that works.
All right, folks, I'm back. I'm sorry to interrupt. It was just great to see you two and to see you chatting. You probably haven't spent 5 minutes by yourselves, not talking about the kids in many months, right? And so we're glad to give. By the way, I'm willing to offer this as a service for anybody who wants to have an excuse and say you're going to have a conversation with your spouse, and then we'll all just listen as you talk to your spouse. It could be some kind of reality show. I don't know how good it would be, but it would be a show. And Mark says, what an amazing couple together, made me smile. Steve said earlier, I'm not crying, you're crying. And Ashok says, wishing you both, sorry, I just cut off Vikram's head there. Wishing you both a long and happy life filled with togetherness and love and success in your life and career ahead. Thank you very much. And Apollo says, this is so beautiful and lovely to see people who come together supportively during the pandemic. Bless you both and your children, says Rahajan. And good vibes, says Satakshi. And Ram Gopal says, you are an awesome couple, great friends, and it has been wonderful to have you in our lives. Wishing you the best always. So who's Ram? Tell us about Ram.
So Ram is actually, he has a positive story. He is someone who Vikram and he were talking about some businesses together, and while that didn't develop into more than that, I developed a close friend with Ram's wife as well as Ram, and just they are such outstanding people. She is such a strong woman. I mean, she's really strong, and he's so supportive of her. And so they started coming camping with us all the time. And he is on a trip up the coast in an RV, like an RV van. And he has taken COVID-19 to venture off on his own to go camping for an extended period of time in an RV van. So that's a positive story. It created a space for him and his wife to do this. His wife travels quite a bit, but during this, she can't. And so now they have this great time to spend, one-on-one time together. I can't wait to get together with them again and get you camping too again, Sree.
Well, glamping, remember, we'll only do the glamping side. Vikram, I know, was very disappointed in how unhelpful I was. Rupa is the one who knew what to do with the tents and all of that. I just wanted my Wi-Fi and a soft blanket, and you guys were making us sleep on the ground in a tent. That was all new to me. Rahajan says, I consider masks in the same way I consider t-shirts and neckties, a statement about one's own sense of style, in addition to the safety concerns. M. Detri asks, how did you two meet?
So I went to Harvard, and his cousin brother, which is a very close cousin. It's not. It might be several times removed, but in essence, their relationship is quite close, as though they were brothers. And so I went to school with.
By the way, that's Indian English, right? That's Indian English. Cousin brother is Indian English,
yeah.
right?
And so his cousin brother and I, Dr. Purv Gupta, and I were some of the founders of SAMTA, which is a South Asian mentoring association, and it matched a peer-to-peer group. It matched a mentor and a mentee from the same village or region of India who were new immigrants. And so it helped them to thrive academically, socially, and professionally. And so these were high school students. So that's a very delicate age to up and lift and move to a new country, especially one so different, from India. And so it was a mentor matching group. And so that was run out of Cambridge. And so they pulled some folks over from Harvard, some from MIT. And I think there were 8 of us or 9 of us. And then we founded this group, and it went on for many, many years. I haven't followed it lately, so I don't know if it's still running. It's probably morphed into something else. But so that's how I know his cousin brother. And I had known him for many years. In fact, I met his cousin brother before he did. And then Vikram had just moved to America and was starting to travel around America, and had decided he wanted to travel to Florida, Miami. He had heard great things about Miami, probably very similar to what you hear about Goa. And so he was coming to Miami. And an Indian tradition is when you go to a new area, your relatives hook you up with a relative in the area. And that's a tradition, right? That's part of the culture. However, there are very few Indians in Florida, especially Southern Florida. And so his cousin brother was like, well, I don't know anyone from our family, but we do know through a friend, we do know this woman. She's a Hindu. And she could probably tell you, she lives down there. She could probably tell you all about Florida. And so we started up, it almost seems like we're, a shoddy.com scenario here. We were introduced by family, but not for the purpose of marriage. And so we started up a email thread, and I asked what he liked to do, and he told me, and I made suggestions. And through these conversations, we just got to know that we liked very similar things. And he at last minute kind of joined me. Hey, why don't you tag along for the couple of weeks that I'm coming to Florida? And I said, sure. And, before he came, I said, let's just make sure this is just friends, no romance, nothing like that. And I set down that rule. Clearly he broke through my barrier. So
all right, so let's have him pick up the story here. So she tells you no romance, and what happens? So in India this happens. Vikram, how if a boy is interested in a girl and she's not interested, she will make it clear. Or there's also the case of the Rakhi sister and Rakhi brother. That happens to a lot of people. So pick up the story. Florida, she says no relationship or anything, and then.
Well, I mean, so I go there, and then we hang out together, and I think we spend some time together. I think, and then it develops over the period of several months after that. So so that's how we start talking more and learning more and more about it. So
several months. Oh my God! I was hoping it's 3 days. I didn't understand several months.
He's not giving any detail. That's so sweet of you.
All right, that's a different show. Another show for another time.
That's right.
David says hello. So actually, your name, Diana, I've rarely pronounced it. So you pronounce it sort of like this name that David has. But
Yes.
what is the original? What's the origin of that? And your last name, LaVigne.
So it's a French name. It's a French last name, and so it's LaVigne has been kind of the common English way to pronounce it, and so that's what we go with. They pronounce it differently in France, and I'm not going to try that because someone listening knows French very well, and I will mispronounce it, and then I will. All my ancestors will roll around in the grave, so I won't do that. But yeah, LaVigne. You know, when I say Diana Rohini LaVigne, folks often think, "Oh, you're Jewish," and I actually did my graduate studies in Israel, and so so people, and I speak Hebrew, so I like, so people automatically think that, and I lived in a very Orthodox section um, of Israel, and so um, I practiced. I had a proper kosher kitchen, and I wore clothing to cover to my ankles and to my wrists, all, in the heat of the summer, and so people, I have a lot of depth of knowledge on the culture, in the culture, and but I am not Jewish, although I've studied it so much.
So, so before, first of all, I hope the kids are okay because you're both here on a Zoom on a show instead of.
These must be good.
You'd hear some. Is it quiet? That means everything's okay, right? Like if it's too
No,
quiet.
no. Quiet means quiet is not a good thing. When you hear noise, that you know where your kids are. When it's quiet, you come in and there's walls, painted a different color.
Well, I should before Vikram leaves. Vikram, I want to point out that to me, you're one of the most positive people I know. You're always smiling. You're always looking ahead. So, what is your secret of? You did something that a lot of people have done who are watching. They're immigrants. They come to this country. They make something of themselves here. You found a partner and you had a great life. But what gave you that inner strength that I see? Because you're always smiling, always positive. I don't know if that's always the case, and both of you can correct that if it's not true. At least to an outsider, I've seen you at 11 at night and at 6 in the morning. So you're generally positive at both times. It's easy to be positive when everything's good, right? Talk to me a little bit about that, and then we'll let you go.
So yeah, I mean, I think I'm a half full kind of a guy, so I don't stress out easily. So yes, I think it's a difficult time. So the best way to get through is to be with your friends and your family. Don't let them also panic. Smile, I think, always helps. And just. Not being extremely stressful or panicky. Hopefully, I think with Diana and my family, I try to bring everybody to the common ground where it happens, and there's nothing what you can do about it, right? So my philosophy is things that are not in our hands, that thing you can't do about it. There's no point stressing about it, right? So the COVID is going to come and go. There's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do is just stay home and then listen to your wife.
Stay home and listen to your wife. It helps to have a wife who works for the health department. So, so let's do this one thing. Diana, what is something that that Vikram may know about you, but has maybe forgotten in 20 years? Here's your 15 years. Here's your chance to tell him something or remind him about something. And Vikram, same thing the other way. What is something about you that she hasn't remembered in 15 years?
Mine's easy. I don't drink coffee. I've never had a cup of coffee in my life. But he still invites me to, because he feels it's a cultural thing, right? If you're having coffee, you offer coffee, right? And I've never even tasted coffee. I've had coffee ice cream, but I've never had a cup of coffee. And so when he has a cup of coffee, he still just instinctively offers me a cup of coffee. And it's out of the, his best intentions, but I'm always like, oh my God, when is that going to stop?
All right, Vikram, top that.
Wow, 15 years ago. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I'm here. I mean, and we're gonna get through this. Just like when remember once we went in Greece, and it's a funny story. I think we were going out, and we planned the whole we're gonna go to this island and that island, and in all this excitement, we got off the boat and ended up on some random island. And like, as soon as we land, the ship has gone, and there's no other ship until next day. And we look at each other, and they're like, this very very tiny island, right? It was supposed to be like a hop on hop off kind of a thing. And we both look at each other. I'm like, we're on the wrong island, and the guy says your island is right there. So I said, okay, the next 24 hours, let's figure out what we can do best out of it. So. And so that's life. Things come and go, and get together. We'll make it happen. So.
You're a big traveling family, as we know. Where would you love to go if we could fix everything, in a few months? Where would you love to go? All four of you.
Well, I thought we were going with you on an African safari, and then you went on an African safari without us. So I don't know. I need to talk to you, Sree, because you not follow our plan. So I think that's where I'm headed. I know we're thinking about the Ice Hotel to see the Northern Lights in Norway.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There you go. Diana has already big plans. I would have gone to Hawaii, but we can go to Ice Hotel too.
Slight difference between the Ice Hotel and Hawaii. So, and I gather that she's going to win in the.
Of course. Of course.
Okay.
Well, planning. So
yeah, exactly. So Vikram, I want you to know I'm going to talk to her for a little while longer. We're going to let you go. Check on the kids. Thank you for being such a good friend of all of us and so many people in our circles. You're awesome, and we're so proud to know both of you. And thank you for being with us here tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. And you're awesome, man. So looking forward to see you. And, once all of this is over. So bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. So there you go. That was surprise number 2.
Okay. Well, B, yeah. I can't imagine what A is.
We'll do that at the end. Okay. Jonathan says, when I was 12 or 13, I took a train across country that stopped at Las Vegas. And Mark says that Apollo was a guest on his show for about 2 hours. It was truly amazing. He was on with others, but held his own. And Buddy Bench, what an excellent idea, says Usha. And that's amazing. Rajan says you can actually buy a Buddy Bench. If you're handy, which I'm not, you could probably build one from the plans. And the Buddy Bench started in Germany and then spread here to the US. Thank you for your thoughts and words and wishes as Ashok, as we talked about him recovering. There's a link to the Buddy Bench benefits. And Ashok has invited you to Kerala. So there you go. So you and Vikram can go down to Kerala. Staying positive because of your shows, which I don't generally miss watching live or later. Thank you, Ashok. And this is a highlight for me. Usha says, I am 70. Watching your shows, I realize how much there is to learn, and I don't have much time. You have a lot of time. Come on. You have a lot of time, and thank you, and learning a lot. I learn a lot. People write in, Diana, to say this is uplifting for them. This is a lifeline. And I say this is a lifeline for me. 180 days, every single day to have this has been very, very special. Rose is live tweeting, and we're seeing some of these comments again. Let's go down and see. Rose is a terrific gardener, as I said. So a lot of people are sharing comments and tweeting about gardening. And Rose says, great stories. Welcome to the gardening world, Diana. And Daryl's correcting you, says that is not true. There are tens of thousands of Indo-Caribbean Indian people in South Florida and Miami. I'm happy to connect you with some of them when you go out next. And Stefan says, Diana, I speak fluent French, studied at a French-run school for 13 years in New York City, and I love to say your name the true Parisian way. Just did. It has a beautiful sound to it. Next time we speak, I will say it. And Rose is linking to pictures of her garden. So with this, boy, it's 10:45. Oh my God.
How'd that go?
Yeah, that went really fast. And that tells you that we're having such a good time. So Please talk a little bit about what we should know to stay healthy around the world from the guidelines. I'll also show the website of San Mateo County. You and your team obviously work on the web. Communications today is a lot of it is digital, but you also do other kinds of communications. But
So you go to the part that says COVID-19. So click on that one. And that's the information. The one thing to really know is that we don't know everything about this. So you have to watch and learn with us. Where as this disease really develops, we'll learn and know more. And so staying up on your local health department is really something that I advise. The situation on the ground is different everywhere. So there isn't kind of one universal you should do. It's look at what's happening locally and then make choices based on your health department and what they're recommending. So of course, face masking, that's a no-brainer there. I've already promoted that so much. Sorry, but I just feel so strongly about that. Distancing. So this is physical distancing. Right now it's at 6 feet. Folks around the world have different lengths, and some are longer and some are shorter. So look at what your local health department is suggesting, and really avoid large gatherings. I mean, that's got to be something that really hard in particular cultures, because that's how we celebrate. That's how we mourn loss. That's how we celebrate landmarks and birthdays and anniversaries. And so finding new ways to do this during COVID-19, it's not easy. This is not easy stuff, but find that way. And so look at others in your community, how they might be doing that. And then, we already mentioned this earlier, kind of the frequently hand washing. There are folks in America that do not have access to running water. And I know this is has a global reach. There are places all over the world that don't have running water. So that presents, problems and issues. And so, it's up to us as a community to come together and figure out who are the most vulnerable in our communities, and how do we best address and meet their needs so that we can slow the spread of COVID-19. It is sad and disheartening every day when I hear about stories. We have had 135 deaths to date in San Mateo County, as you can see on our website. Over 8,000 positive cases. And so, each one of those folks, that's not a number. That's a person with a life, with people around them. And it's become part of, my mental health awareness for myself, to be able to let my guard down and cry it out, because I feel for each one of those deaths. One is too many. And so 135 is just unthinkable. And so I don't want to end this on a negative note, but I think that I know that if you follow some simple steps, that you can help those around you, and those that you love and know, but also those that you don't know, your community at large and yourself, be healthy if you practice some of these tips and do them, all the time. So those are my quick takeaways.
Thank you. Ashok says, do you have a newsletter that people can sign up for?
The county does, and you can go onto the county website, smcgov.org, and there is I'll share a website. It's specifically around COVID-19, and you can put your email address in there, and they will send you updates as they hear more about it. Now, this is going to be about San Mateo County specifically, so I would suggest going to the CDC website and sign up for their alerts, and the World Health Organization, and sign up for their alerts. Those are folks who are looking at a broader scale rather than just San Mateo County. So those are two resources that are really valuable and should be looked at. And again, the information is changing, so keep your eye on it.
Usha says, "Oh, that was great, Diana. Thank you." And Stefan says, "Now that you've done a 2-hour 180 show, that means that the next you must do a 24-hour show for the episode number 200." And Rose says, "Simple answer: no," because she doesn't want to have to do that. And Ashok is asking once again for the websites of San Mateo County, and then you can get and everyone can look up WHO and CDC, of course. But go ahead.
Yeah. WHO and CDC, those are out there. You just Google that. But
just so we understand, every county has a health commissioner in America, or most do, or does it depend on value? I mean, how much money they have, property taxes, they'll pay for this kind of stuff, right?
Right. And then there are unincorporated areas that may not have the resources for a local health department. But yeah, most counties have them, and so, or a designee. And in our area, we're blessed to have the resources to have health officers in all our counties. But there might be folks who don't have those resources and don't have a health officer. But there's a health department everywhere. So whether it's your state or your county, I would recommend your state following your state as well, health department. So there's the federal, and then there's the state health department, and then there's the local, which is your county.
Daryl says, "I went to an anniversary barbecue last night. Everyone was wearing masks, but there really was no physical distancing. All friends and family, but lots of sanitizer. But sanitizer can't save you, especially in one thing that I find odd is that you can't eat and wear the mask. I mean, you can sort of chew, but you've got to constantly take it on and off. So if you're in a tight family style situation, if you've been embedded together, that's different. But if you've not been quarantining together, even if they're your favorite cousin, there is a danger if you're in close proximity of taking off the mask. And that's what's going to happen on Labor Day, right? Lots of worry that tomorrow, for the non-Americans here, Labor Day is the traditional end of summer, and people celebrate with barbecues and beach trips and all kinds of things like that. And that's the danger that tomorrow we'll see in 10 days, 2 weeks, another flare up, and we can't afford that. Before you go, Diana, just so that people understand, how are there lessons from what happened in California, the early success and then the late challenges? What are you all doing now with the governor and everyone else to make sure that you come out of this the way you want to be?
So I think we did some great things in the beginning that really benefited us quite a bit, which was we went for a regional approach. And so as Sree, you mentioned, we were part of the group that was the first in the nation to do a shelter in place. And we have very strong leadership out here that's very science-based. And we just took the science and kind of took the bull by the horns and went into this full-fledged. I have no doubt that it saved many, many, many lives. And so what have we learned? We learned that the target changes, and that we have to be in learning mode every second, every moment, and that we have to remember that this is a marathon, and we have to think about that early on. And I think for me personally, just from my perspective, is the first early days of COVID-19, I was doing 18-hour days, 7 days a week, continuously. And that was a burnout spot for me. And so at one point I got so ill, I had to go to the hospital. And so we need to remember that our health department workers from within, that we need to manage our own health. And we want to do the best we can, but we can't do that if we're sick too. And so I think that for me, the biggest learning curve here was we have to pace ourselves and understand early on that this, I needed to recognize early on that this was a marathon, and this would, not to ignore that this was going to happen for 12, 18 months plus. So it's definitely, I'm a work in progress, like many of us.
No, we all are, and thank you for your leadership. I just thought I'd end here. We're trying to be positive, but also be realistic. This is a photo that was tweeted by Oliver Darcy, who's a CNN reporter, and it's his family member flying out of California this evening. Sent along these photos from the flight. She said passengers could smell the smoke from the wildfires in the cabin. It looks like something out of hell when you're looking at that, right? And then here's more Armageddon scenes. This is Creekfire County sheriffs and fire crews just escorted nearly 50 families from China Peak near the Sierra National Forest. And look at this, that smoke that's coming out to Colorado. So you can imagine what that's like in California.
It's tough. Here's the thing: is that COVID is tough enough. Wildfires are crazy. We had a fire tornado that happened. I didn't even know those exist, right? And not in San Mateo County, up north, and but in California. And today we experienced an earthquake just a few minutes ago, or a couple of hours ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was just a 3.4, so that's not a big one for Californians. But I'm an East Coaster, so yeah, and so it was just a couple of towns off. A 3.4 earthquake happened this afternoon, and so here's the it's one of them is sort of the bad enough, and we're just getting hit slam slam slam, and so lots of people, the double, hurricane coming in through Florida and Texas and that region,
Louisiana, yeah.
Louisiana, like, oh my gosh, aren't we? I mean, 2020 is a big year, right?
Yeah, and I said that in 2019 at the end of the year, one of these predictions for next year. I said 2020 is going to be the most consequential year for climate change. For the when we look back, 2020 because of the election and everything, and that was before COVID. And so let's end on this comment and question from Natasha, and that'll give you a chance to say, in your opinion, how do you think human behavior will or has changed post this COVID experience?
I really do think that in the workplace that we are going to push back on the current status quo of all hours in office, like nonstop, and that already some of the bigger companies like Google, who Sunil, who was on the show before, works for, are already starting a trend of work from home. We don't need that commute if we can trust and we can find a way to really work from home. I think we can adjust to this.
But aren't we working too much, Diana? I mean, first of all, look at us working on Labor Day, Sunday. But more than that, aren't we all working too hard? Because there's something missing.
Yeah, we're all working. I mean, Americans in general all work too hard.
And by the way, we should also acknowledge lots of people are unemployed, underemployed at the moment. So we're lucky enough that our jobs can be working from home. We're not those firefighters. We're not others who have to go out and be brave and depend on other people following the rules for them to stay alive. So we do want to acknowledge that. But what about this idea that this work from home has meant work all day from home and late into the night for lots of people?
My work hasn't changed from when I worked in the office and here. I still am working the same, the same number of hours. So for me, that hasn't changed. That'd be interesting for me to ask Vikram to see if that's the case. And I think that there needs to be boundaries set. There's discussions that need to be had, and I think policies that need to be made. And we're gonna get there, and we're gonna get there because we're no longer willing to do. My commute into my work was 45 minutes in the morning, but an hour and a half in the afternoon, and so that time now I'm spending, yes, you're right, I spend more hours in the office, but honestly, I'm given back those hours that I would have been commuting. And then I can break and have lunch, not off in a cafeteria or off with, off in a business meeting. I can actually break and have lunch with my family. And I'm not sure I'm willing to give that up. And so I think that Natasha, who I've known for many, many years, by the way, is an amazing person. And she's really into the psychology behind things, right? And so I really don't think that we're going to return to how we were pre-COVID. I mean, it's the pre-COVID and the post-COVID, and I think that we've changed as a community, and I think that businesses are going to have to work a little bit around that and find ways to do that. I was not a fond supporter as a manager of other folks of working from home. I felt some people did it well and other people didn't do it well. But you know what? Through COVID-19, it showed me I was wrong. I was dead up wrong. And I admit that working from home can work for everyone. You just got to find a pace, and you got to find the pattern, and you got to find the right people for that work. But it can be done. And so my team has actually given up our offices. And so we've abandoned our offices for the next calendar year. So we're going all in.
So through December of this year?
No, we've given them up. Like we don't have this anymore. We have
so if you wanted to go back, you'll have to book a room somewhere to
yes.
Yeah. All right. So we promised you one more surprise. So the clue is this sound that you're going to hear right now. Oops, that's not it. Hold on.
I didn't bungray in the wildfires. That was too much. Ah, yes. I'm in the head. And I'm the tallest.
Hold on one second. Let me turn down the volume. So this is the 2001 Independence Day Bhangra at MIT. And I think I see you.
I'm in red, and I'm very
tall one. You're the tall one on the left side. I see you. There you go.
And I'm white. So, I mean, it's so amazing.
Well, Sunil sent that to me. And there we can see you. We can see you.
The music still lives in me.
There you go. Now you're right at the front, and now you've moved on.
I don't know why Sunil would choreograph that to put me in the front, but I don't know. He's challenging me, I guess. I don't know. But as you can tell, there are some amazing dancers. Like they, carry each other on their backs and their shoulders, and like acrobatics. This is amazing. During the school year, they compete and they win almost every year.
And so just to tell us, that was 2001 August. What do you remember about that?
I remember, you always remember the critique of yourself. One of the last poses, I went the wrong direction on a turn. Nobody noticed it, but I did, But after, it was just I had my family there, and
that's right, the Boston family, right?
Yeah. So I had my family. It was at the Hat Shell, which is a very historical landmark in Boston, where the Boston Pops play for 4th of July, one of the biggest 4th of July celebrations in America. And they do it to the symphony orchestra there every year. Historically, it's a big deal. And so to be performing at such a big stage in front of so many people afterwards, it was just such a beautiful group to bond with. And what Sunil said was we maintain those friendships, and they're friends from all over. And when I go to visit those areas, I visit with them, and we can, it's almost as though you don't see someone for 25 years, and yet you start right where you left off. And those are the people on that team. And I really appreciate them allowing me to be the girl, the white girl on the team.
Well, you are awesome. And thank you so much for everything. Thank you for being a pal for so many years. And thank you for what you're doing for your community, for the people of San Mateo County. And good luck with everything. I hope we don't have to wait for another show to catch up. And thank you for the cake. Thank you for the spinach. And that's just so awesome. And I'm so honored. So thank you. And hug those babies for me. They're not babies anymore, but hug them for me.
I will. And thank you, Sree, so much for hosting this and to continue. I mean, 180 is such an amazing mark. And just, I've watched your show often on when I wasn't working. And it's just so informative, so many interesting guests. And it's, it really illuminates so many different aspects of life and really opens up the world. And during these times of COVID-19, I can't travel. And I'm a huge traveler, like huge. And so I want to go everywhere and everywhere again. And I want to stay a long time. And this has really allowed me to see folks from all over the world who have been guests for you, or talk about places from all over the world. So really thank you for kind of this platform. It's been a lifesaver during a really difficult time.
Thank you. Jonathan says, delightful show. Thank you. And Ashok says, good luck on your activities. So with that, we'll let Diana get back to her dinner. I don't know. It's been 2 hours late for dinner, maybe. But thank you so much. And we'll see you soon, Diana. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And MD Tree says, thank you. And Fernando, we got to talk about our show that we're going to do together. Fernando's watching from LA. Apollo says, thank you, Sree, Diana, Rose, Vandana, Neil, and your whole team for this awesome evening of positivity. I smile. Ashok says, wonderful show that made my day and has made me feel positive as always. And it's early for him. It's about 8:30 in the morning for him in India. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for supporting us. Before we go, I'm going to do what I promised Kimberly Crenshaw, the amazing Columbia Law School professor who coined the term intersectionality. I asked her, what can we do to be supporters of the Black community? And she said, say their names. And so I will take what Rahajan has done, one of our viewers. He put together an incredible list of people who have been who've been killed or affected by police violence, as well as white supremacy. And he put together the list that is so long. And what we've been doing is every day we've been reading just a little bit of each from the list. And I'm going to do that in just a second. I do want to remind you what we have coming up. Tomorrow is our special episode about white supremacy and the white nationalist agenda. Stephen Miller, Hate Monger, Jean Guerrero will be with us. Author of Hate Monger, Stephen Miller, Donald Trump and the White Nationalist Agenda. She's an investigative journalist, PEN Literary Award and Emmy Award winning journalist. So you'll want to join us for that. The book is amazing. I'm reading it now in horror because you don't even know everything that is happening right now. So please join us tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, live or later, so you can catch that. So now we are going to read these names as we do every day on the show. We've reached the third. We read the third list, the third page, and now we're back to 1999. We're going to read these names. Some of them are names you know. They're everyday names, household names, and some you don't know at all, and each of them has a story. So let's read them. Margaret Laverne Mitchell, Taisha Miller, look at some of these ages, 19. Amadou Diallo, 23. James Byrd Jr., killed by white supremacists, 1998. Danette Daniels, Frankie Ann Perkins, Johnji Gamage, Sanji Taylor, Philip Pennell, Yusuf Hawkins, Michelle Griffith, Barry Allen, Troy Canty, Darrell KB, and James Ramseur, shot and wounded by white vigilante in 1984. Eleanor Bumpers, Michael Stewart, who was put in a chokehold by police and died 13 days later. Vincent Chin, killed by two racists in 1982. Willie Turks, Ernest Lacey, Michael Donald, lynched by the KKK in 1981. Eula Love, Jose Campos Torres, Clifford Glover, age 10. Clarence Triggs, killed after participating in a civil rights march for voting in 1966. Vernon Dahmer, killed by the KKK in 1966. James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner, killed by the police in the KKK on June 15, 1964. Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robertson, and Carol McNair, killed by that church bombing by the KKK in September 16th. The anniversary is coming up in 1963. Medgar Evers, killed by a white supremacist in 1963. Mac Charles Parker, Clinton Melton, Emmett Till, Harry Moore, and the list goes on. These are all names that Rahajan has put together. Everyone, we say these names because we were asked to, because we should. And we usually show this list as well, this photograph, the Time magazine photograph of a painting by Titus Kaffer on the left, the glove of the pandemic on that mother's hand. On the right, you see a photo of a young Larcinia Floyd with George Floyd. And she would die 2 years almost to the day that he would be killed in Minneapolis. And now they're buried next to each other in Houston. And with that, we thank you for your joining us as we read these names every single day. And thank you for your support for this show. We couldn't do this without you. We're so grateful. And Rose says such kind words. And Apollo says, make sure you look at police links with white supremacy. We will do that tomorrow. And Apollo, tell us about your trip via rail to the East Coast. I look forward to hearing all about that. And a big thank you again to our sponsors for making it possible for us to come to you every single day. Nonbelievable, 20% off with the code SREE, Divinely Delicious Cookies on a mission to help folks. Please help out by going to nonbelievable.com, 20% off with the code SREE. And also The Inventor in You, a step-by-step guide to your first invention by Charles Cunnan Carroll, developer of more than 80 patents, at Inventor Charles and guidetoinvention.com. A big thank you to Hotstar and its new Indian films with subtitles that are skipping theaters and coming straight to your home exclusively on Hotstar, hotstar.com/US. Big thank you to She's on Call, 11 a.m. Eastern on Sundays, but you can find the recording every single day. And also to Muckrack Academy, Fundamentals of Social Media, free on-demand certification course. You can enroll today, mrac.co/social. And we're also, we want to do a shout out to our friends at oneshare.world. Their event is on September 17th. Renee Fleming, David Nabarro, Jairam Ramesh, Kekashan Basu are just some of the 20 plus speakers. oneshare.world/live. Please sign up. And also a big hello to, we had a Diana in the evening. We had Diane in the morning. Diane Cardwell, author of Rockaway Surfing Headlong into a New Life, former reporter and editor of the New York Times, and inaugural writer of the Portraits of Grief. Diane and I had a fabulous New York Times read along, 8:30 a.m. every Sunday as we read the New York Times for almost 2 hours. And she was fantastic. And next Sunday is David Housewright, past president of the Private Eye Writers of America, winner of the Edgar Award from Mystery Writers of America, and 3 Minneapolis Book Awards, and former newspaper reporter and ad man. That's coming up next Sunday. You can find all my archives at youtube.com/Sreenet, youtube.com/Sreenet. We're here every single Sunday. Tomorrow's guest is Jean Guerrero to talk about hate monger Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, and the white nationalist agenda. You don't want to miss that. And Fernando says, all these shows are a tremendous breath of fresh air. Thank you. Please let me know. We want to do that LA show with you, and we want to talk. So get in touch, and we'll see you soon. Thanks very much, everybody.